Okay, this is part B. I'm sorry that was abrupt on that second video. Actually hit the wrong key. So this is going to be 8.4 part 3. So I added all these digits together, and when I did, I got 27,488.93. Okay, so that's the total storage that he has. So I'm going to take this number, which should still be in your calculator, by the way, and then you're going to divide it by how much the cattle eat, which is 150. So let's go ahead and divide that number by 150, and when we do that, we get 183.25, or 26 if you round. Okay, so remember this is talking about days. So how many days can he feed his cattle? He can feed his cattle for 183 days. Okay, you could get a half day out of that, but I'm sure the cattle would appreciate a whole day. So that's how you do that problem. Okay, let's check out what's next. We're on the next objective, and we're going to talk about Eulers' polyhedron formula. So his formula says the number of vertices minus the number of edges plus the number of faces always equals 2. So before I do this next example, I just want to show you something on the side. So we'll do a side note. So if I had a cube, not too fancy here, the vertices are the corners. So you would find out how many corners does this have. So vertice is a corner. Or vertex is the corners. Okay. A side is literally that. In pink, these are the sides, so there's many of them. And then the number of faces, a face is like the front of the cube, the side of the cube, the top of the cube. So that's a face. Okay, so now that we have that taken care of, it says in the example, a certain polyhedron has 20 vertices and 12 faces. Determine the number of edges of the polyhedron. So Eulers' polyhedron formula says that the number of vertices minus the number of edges plus faces equals 2. So that's what the formula says. Okay, so vertices is 20. We don't know how many edges we have, but we know we have 12 faces, and this equals 2. So if I have to determine the number of edges, what I have to do here is I have to isolate E. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to take 20 plus 12, that's 32, minus E equals 2. Now what I'm going to do is move the 32 over to the other side, and when I do that, I get negative E equals negative 30. Now if I divide both sides by negative 1, I get E equals 30. So you just have to do a little bit of algebra for this, but once again, you're just plugging and chugging in what you know. So I plugged in 20 for vertices, I plugged in 12 for faces, and remember, vertices minus edges plus faces equals 2. Okay, so the next section, after we're done with this, we're going to talk about pyramids. So before we discuss finding the volume of a pyramid, pyramids come in different shapes, as do prisms. So the first one we're going to look at is a prism. So a prism, normally when you think of a prism, I think of this shape here. Okay, so for this prism that we're looking at, for all the prisms, you have to figure out what the base of the prism is. So for this particular prism, if I look at it, the base is a triangle. So that's my base to that, okay? For the second one, a square is my base of this prism. A hexagon is the base for this one. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, if we look at that, that is a trapezoid is the base for this. So the volume of any prism can be found by multiplying the area of the base, which is capital B, by the height of the prism. So that's how we're going to find the volume. So once again, volume equals the base of the prism times the height. Okay, so we're going to do an example of that. Okay, for this example, it says Frank's fish tank is in the shape of a hexagonal prism. As shown in figure 8.41, use the dimensions shown in the figure and the fact that 1 gallon equals 231 inches cubed to A, determine the volume of the fish tank in cubic inches, and B, determine the volume of the fish tank in gallons. So we don't really have the picture in our notes. So for part A, I'm just going to kind of run with this. So let's make an assumption that its fish tank, the base of it is a hexagon, right? So that's 6-sided figure. And I'm not expecting you guys to memorize this, but to find the area of a regular hexagon, which that's what a fish tank would be, it's 3 times the square root of 3, side squared over 2, where all the sides are of equal length. So the side is from here to here. Okay, so let's make an assumption that this fish tank, the height of it, let's say the height of the fish tank is going to be 24 inches. Okay, so this fish tank it kind of looks like that. So let's go ahead and do this. So the area we have to find the volume of the fish tank that is hexagonal, we need to take the base times the height. So the base is the area of a hexagon. Okay, so the area equals 3 times the square root of 3 over the side. And let's make the assumption that each side is 6 inches long. Okay, so let's put that as 6 squared times 6 squared over 2. Okay, so what do I get? I get 3 times the square root of 3 times 36, all over 2. So this 3, the one outside of the radical, times 36, we can do that. So once again, get out your calculator. So 3 times 36 will give me 108. So in the numerator, I have 108 radical 3 times 2. So on your calculator, you have to take 108 and multiply that by the square root of 3. And then what you're going to do is divide that by 2. And when I did that, I got 93.53. Okay, so remember that's going to be in inches squared. Now that I have the base, so the base is this figure here, I'm going to multiply that value times the height, which we said was 24. Okay, so multiply that by 24, and I got 2,244.74. Now this is in inches cubed. Okay, so 2,244.74 inches cubed. So that's part A. Part B asks us to determine the volume of the fish tank in gallons. So if I have to find the volume of the fish tank in gallons, I know that 1 gallon equals 231 inches cubed. Okay, so that was given. In fact, I'll underline it for you. That's where I got that. So what I'm going to do is take what I got, 2,244.74, and I'm going to divide this by 231, because that'll tell me how many gallons I have. So that 2,244.74 should still be in your calculator, so just divide that by 231. And when you do that, you get 9.72 gallons. So that's how much water this particular fish tank would hold. Okay, I will not put a hexagonal prism on your test. It might be something where you have a square as a base or something easier, but at least we did one that's hard, in case you run into it on my math lab. Okay. All right, so the very last portion of this section, we're going to talk about pyramids. Pyramids are kind of like prisms, but they all converge at the top. So here, all of them, see how they converge at the top. So their formula is similar to the prism, but it's 1/3 base times height. So remember that uppercase B is the area of the base. Okay, so if I look at these various pyramids here, base of this one is going to be the area of a triangle. The base of this one is going to be the area of a square. The base of this one is going to be the area of a hexagon. And the base of this one is going to be the area of a rectangle. Okay, so once again, formulas are very, very similar to the prisms, except we have that 1/3 times that. Okay, and by the way, the height, once again, H stands for height, like how tall is it? So let's do this very last problem together. Determine the volume of this pyramid. So once again, volume equals 1/3 base times the height. So we need to find the base first. Okay, I'm going to highlight the base. The base is the bottom of the figure. And if I'm looking at that, I see that the sides are both 5, so I know that the base is a square. So I find the area of a square. The area of the squared is side squared. Okay, so the side is 5, and we're going to square that, and we're going to get 25. So 25 meters squared is the area of the base. Okay, I have B. So I'm going to make a little note. This is B. So I'm going to use this. Okay, so I plug it into my formula. Volume equals 1/3 times the 25. Now I need to know how tall is a pyramid. So the pyramid, the height of it is 6 meters. So I'm going to plug in the 6. So if I rearrange this, if I get 1/3 times 6 times 25, I can reduce this down because 3 goes into 6 twice. So volume equals 2 times 25, which equals 50 meters cubed. Okay, and that's it. So that one was a little bit easier than that fish tank example. And by the way, congratulations. Woohoo! You guys just completed all of the material for 1106. All right, so study hard because your test is coming up super quick. Don't forget to do the review sheet. All right, take it easy. See you in class.